Okay. Oh, there we go. Okay. Hi, I'm Sarah, member of the parish board. Happy summer, officially. Happy Father's Day to those of you who are fathers or are fathering and or no fathers, all of it, you and yours. As I've said to other people, the most amazing thing about having a son who becomes a father is watching him become a father. Grandkids are great, but watching your son become a father is pretty extraordinary. Okay, so nobody gave me any announcements today, so I'm on my own. Usually they come from Reverend Chris, but he's on vacation. In any case, this might be one of the quieter moments in our church community, which is kind of take a deep breath, kind of nice. And yet, in your order of in your Unitarian that you get, there's lots of announcements and upcoming events and all kinds of people still streaming in, which is wonderful. I think Rachel draws a crowd, to be honest. And there's no order of service today, as you noticed, and there's no offering to be taken during the service today. There is an offering basket in the back next to the silent candle table there. So if you are so moved during the service or on your way out, please contribute. And that might be it. Anything important I should say that I might be overlooking? Just check the Unitarian for this wonderful schedule of summer services. There's lots of good stuff coming up. And now, here we are, gathered in love, in community, and come let us worship together.
Good morning. I'm going to light the chalice this morning. My name is Gabby. If you don't know these words, please just kindly receive them. Please join me in saying, life is a gift for which we are grateful. We gather in community to celebrate the glories and the mysteries of this great gift.
Good morning. This service is called Meeting the Shadow. So what do I mean by shadow? Carl Jung coined the term, and as I understand it, the concept is that you arrive here a relatively blank slate. Onto this blank slate, your parents, extended family, teachers, and other authorities all write their preferences onto you. What gets praised and rewarded goes into the ego. What gets shamed and repressed goes into the shadow. Okay. But what if you ended up rejecting your parents or community? Well, then those people's values go into the shadow and their opposites go into the ego. It's the same idea, just flipped. Jung was quick to point out that the shadow contains both positive and negative urges. Negatives include things like violence, stealing and cheating, harm, in short. These urges can be exciting to some, but since they're damaging, most would agree that it's good to repress them. But the shadow also includes beautiful urges, things that were simply not valued by one's family or culture. Jungian analyst Clarissa Pinkola-Estes writes, "These discarded, devalued, and unacceptable aspects of soul and self do not just lie there in the dark, but rather conspire about how and when they shall make a break for freedom. Down there in the unconscious, they seethe, they boil, until one day, no matter how well the lid over them is sealed, they explode outward and upward with a will of their own." This, Estes writes, like person may amaze everyone and suddenly give millions of dollars to an orphan's home, or why a normally sweet person is capable of throwing a fit. We find, she goes on, that by opening the door to the shadow realm a little and letting out various elements a few at a time, relating to them, finding use for them, negotiating, we can reduce being surprised by shadow sneak attacks and unexpected explosions. What has been buried in the shadow can be hard to find and even harder to look at. I hope that by the end of our time together that you will have had a small taste of why there is value in the attempt to commune with your shadow. So let's begin. So everyone should have an index card and a pen. If you don't, please raise your hand and we will make sure to get you one. Right off the bat, I want you to know that this is just for you. No one is going to ask you to discuss this or share it in any way. So allay any fears about that. And second, I want you to know I'll walk you through as we go, so there's nothing you need to worry about there. Okay, so first, on one side of your index card, whichever side you prefer, on the left, I want you to make a list of at least 5 qualities or values that you would use to define yourself. Not people, places, things, your opinions or ideas about the world. Personal qualities or values. So for example, my first one could be creative or eco-friendly. So we'll do this together. Nina's gonna play some music for some ambiance. So come up with at least 5. If you have more, that's fine, but try to get at least 5. Okay, if you're not done yet, that's okay, you can add more later. The second part of this is on the same side, on the right-hand side, I want you to list out the opposites of each of the words that you wrote on the left side. So my first word is creative, so I would write destructive. My second is eco-friendly, maybe that's a little harder, but I could say gas guzzling or plastic guzzling or shop till you drop, you know. This is for you, there's no right way to do it, there's just your way to do it. So just see what comes, and as my first capital T teacher used to say, trust the process. thank you. We will get to why we did this in a little bit.
This is a very nice, special, precious part of our service, I would say, where the community comes together to hear joys, concerns, or sorrows. We come up here, we light a candle, we put it in the sand, and we say who we are, if you'd like, and in a brief manner, explain to us what's going on with you. Sometimes people come up and they just take a candle and light it and put it in the sand and walk away and say nothing, which is lovely. And we also have some candles to my left and your right in the back of the room, where you can go and light a candle anytime that you want and sit down.
So the exercise we did before comes from the American philosopher Ken Wilber. In the book Meeting the Shadow, he writes, "If you want to know the character of your shadow, write down the exact opposite of who you believe yourself to be." Ours was an abbreviated version, so if this intrigues you, you might try doing it again and taking more time. Add everything you can think of to your left-hand list. Once you have what feels like a good profile of who you believe yourself to be, then move to the right-hand side. There you'll discover a decent character sketch for your shadow. Then maybe ask yourself, do I recognize this person? Have I ever met this person before? And just sit with what comes up. Of your shadow qualities, Ken Wilber writes, "You will own them or they will own you. The shadow always has its say. We may wisely be aware of our opposites, or we will be forced to beware of them." Carl Jung also coined the expression the tension of opposites. The idea, I believe, is that within good and evil, right and wrong, creative and destructive, each aspect of each pair fully exists, and the tensions between them are inevitable. What matters is if and how well we manage those tensions. In other words, there's no eradicating either side of any given pair, either inside yourself or out there in the wider world. It has been my experience that something powerful and expansive is available when I allow the tension of opposites to just be and stop viewing the accompanying emotions of fear, resistance, uncertainty, and struggle as bad things. I've had the great fortune of studying twice with the revered author Claire Keegan. Claire told us that as a girl she had two dreams: books and horses, and that now her books pay for her horses. She reveres horse trainer Ken Faulkner and travels regularly to Brisbane, Australia to study with him. She told this little story that Ken had told her. A boy and his mother were attending a lesson with Ken. When the boy was having difficulty completing a task with the horse, the mother tried to interfere. "Aw, leave him alone," Ken said. "He's just struggling." "Yeah, Mom," said the boy, "I'm just struggling." Claire told us that people often confuse being in trouble with struggling, but that struggling is how we learn. So, if anywhere in your life you're grappling with feelings of discomfort, fatigue, vulnerability, or impatience, that might be a good thing. Out there in the wider world, you might agree that we are seeing a hell of a lot of shadow behavior. I posit that what we're seeing are a hell of a lot of people who for a hell of a long time have felt repressed, shamed, shunned, and thrown away. I'm going to read to you from Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver, which won the Pulitzer for Fiction in 2023. Demon Copperhead is Kingsolver's redo of David Copperfield, told from the point of view of an impoverished teenage boy in Appalachia. I changed 3 words in the text to be church appropriate-ish. This passage changed my life. Nobody rides you like you ride yourself, they say, but we get more than our share of help. These people and vegetarians and so forth that are all about being fair to the races and the gays, I am down with that, I agree. But would it cross any mind to be fair to us? No, it would not. How do I know? TV. The Comedy Channel is so funny, it can make you want to go unlock the gun cabinet and kill yourself. Do they really think that along with being brainless and having relations with animals, we don't even have cable? There's this thing that happens, let's say at school, where a bunch of guys are in the bathroom at the urinal laughing about some dork that made a fool of himself in gym. You're all basically nice guys, right? You know right from wrong, and would not in a million years be brutal to the poor guy's face. And then it happens. The dork was in the can. He comes out of the stall with this look. He heard everything. And you realize you're not really that nice of a guy. This is what I would say if I could to all smart people of the world with their dumb hillbilly jokes. We are right here in the stall. We can actually hear you. Demon mentions the Comedy Channel. Comedy is the playground of the shadow. When you tell a joke with an edge or laugh at something with a bite to it, that's your shadow leaking out. Cruel or outrageous or gross humor, snark, slapstick, all of these are release valves for the shadow. But returning to all seriousness, I would encourage you to ask yourself, who is worthy of my grace and who is not? I would encourage you to consider the beliefs that you hold about yourself or others, the beliefs around which you can feel no fresh air, no curiosity, no humility, no doubt whatsoever. Such states of cognitive inflexibility lead you to hold a certain self-image as solid and static. They lead to open hostility toward dissenters and an inability to absorb differing points of view. If you think that only the other side is guilty of this, you might think again. M. Scott Peck's essay in Meeting the Shadow is about evil. Here's a passage from it. Scapegoating works through a mechanism psychiatrists call projection. Since the evil, deep down, feel themselves to be faultless, it is inevitable that when they are in conflict with the world, they will perceive the conflict as the world's fault. Since they must deny their own badness, they must perceive others as bad. They project their evil onto the world. Strangely enough, evil people are often destructive because they are attempting to destroy evil. The problem is that they misplace the locus of their evil. Life often threatens their self-image of perfection, and so they busily engage in hating and destroying that life, usually in the name of righteousness. The fault, however, may not be so much that they hate life as that they do not hate the sinful part of themselves. The so-called evil would rather attack others than face the discomfort of a confrontation with their own evil, but spiritual growth demands that they do. One of my favorite lines from Carl Jung's The Red Book reads, "Who should accept the lowest in you if you do not? The lowest in you is the source of mercy." If we cannot face the shadow in here, then we will attempt to eradicate it out there. We will attempt to eradicate anything that stinks of our imperfections, our shame. All of my shame lives in a place I call the swamp, but so does all of my gold. To kill one would be to kill the other. This is an idea shared among many artists. Artists go chasing their shadows because they want to harness that energy for creation. As songwriter Martin Sexton sings, "The beast in me is the best of me." Many of you know that I write short stories. I wrote one last year about a plumber and a trophy wife that pretty much nobody liked. For a while, I didn't either. In fact, I gave it up and put it on a shelf. But then, the day that I did that Ken Wilber exercise that we just did, I looked at my right-hand list, and there she was. My shadow list was a perfect description for the trophy wife in that story. With that realization, the whole energy around the story process shifted, as did my empathy for my character and my understanding of her. I finished the story, and now it's one of my favorites. Yes, there are dark urges in the shadow, and these must be managed, but there is also gold that does not harm anyone, that was simply tamed out of us in our childhoods, elements of our youthful wildishness that give us tremendous energy and life force. There is gold in that swamp. I encourage you to go down there and find it.
This is The Guest House by Rumi. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond.
Okay, one more exercise. You're gonna take your same note card and turn it over to the blank side. This one is simpler, although not necessarily easier, but you'll have more time to just sit with it and think while Nina plays some beautiful music for us. I'm going to ask you to write down your answer or answers to this question. What do I secretly want? Obviously, the key word here is secretly, and I would venture that if we're using the word secret, we're dealing with the shadow, and if it's a secret from you, we're definitely dealing with the shadow. Maybe don't go for the deepest, darkest truth you can excavate. That might be a little much for 10 a.m. on a Sunday. On the other hand, try not to go for the very first thing that comes to mind. That might be too easy, too surfacey. So try to find the middle way between over-pushing and under-pushing. And again, this is just for you. You can write super tiny, you can write in secret code, you can move your chair away from other people if you're worried they're gonna look at what you're writing. I don't want you to feel exposed except possibly to yourself. And you can burn this as soon as you get home if necessary. What do I secretly want? I invite you to write this question down and post it somewhere in your home where you can see it. If you don't have a ready answer yet, that's okay. The best questions don't have ready answers. And yet, life is short, and some questions are worth visiting often. Here's Clarissa Pinkola Estes again. You can call it anything you like, but sneaking a life because the real one is not given room enough to thrive is hard on one's vitality. Captured and starved, people sneak all kinds of things: unsanctioned books and music, friendships, sexual feeling, religious affiliation. They sneak furtive thinking, dreams of revolution. They sneak time away from their mates and families. They sneak their writing time, their thinking time, their soul time. They sneak a skip or an embrace when no one's looking. To detour off this polarized path, one has to surrender the pretense. Sneaking a counterfeit soul life never works. It always blows up when you're least expecting it. Then it's misery all around. It's better to get up, stand up, no matter how homemade your platform, and live the most you can, the best you can, and forgo the sneaking of counterfeits. Some things you've been sneaking may be easy to admit, others may be difficult. But as Estes counsels us, opening the door to the shadow realm a little, letting out various elements, a few at a time, relating, negotiating, can reduce sneak attack explosions. In my experience, meeting the shadow has been strengthening and life-affirming. As the journalist, social activist, and devout Catholic Dorothy Day wrote to a friend, "The older I get, the more I meet people, the more convinced I am that we must only work on ourselves to grow in grace. The only thing we can do about people is love them." The harder you push down what's in the dark, the harder it struggles for the light. Everyone is struggling for the light. Don't throw anyone away.